Interesting stuff there, Cyrus. That is very interesting stuff. Like, well, we're pretty well hypnotized by television, the way the world is, drugs, everything. And I see what you're talking about. That's interesting stuff. And this is what Scientology, well, through Dianetics is...
Yeah, that's right. If you understand Dianetics, you'll pretty much get to understand where Scientology comes from as well.
Right.
And I'll explain that as well. But yeah, that's how it works. And you can see how we wouldn't be into hypnotism because Dianetics itself goes directly towards those incidents that act like hypnotism and then actually takes a person through them so that he's actually aware of what's going on.
Right.
You're right about drugs and TV. I mean, TV, especially when you're tired and you're weary, your unconscious mind, your reactive mind has turned on a little bit. And people do. We watch them. We can see them get hypnotized right in front of the TV.
Oh, yeah. TV's the best hypnotizer there is.
Oh, well, 80%, that's right. It's great, it tells you to buy things.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's a consumer thing. 80% of the public vote is through television because of media and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, like Cyrus, so Ron Hubbard, right? 1960, right? And then he started. How much time? Oh, yeah, we've got another 8 minutes. Now he started with, and then what happened after that? When he done the book, how did this emerging force happen? Scientology.
Oh, well, actually it was about 1951-52.
Yeah.
One of the big things with Dianetics was, like I said, that anyone can do it.
Right.
So he started to get a whole huge field across the United States of people were training as auditors, and auditor in Scientology and Dianetics meant a counselor. The reason why I used that word was one, from Latin it means listen, and two, it means to compute.
Right.
And when you say compute, the auditor. He pretty much, his main job is to listen, but he's there to compute what the trouble is that the person is undergoing during therapy, so that he can best use the technique of Dianetics to get those incidents that I described.
Yeah.
And when you get those incidents, then the person gets relief. And these not only include pain, but also can include painful emotion. So a person who's lost a loved one, and they kind of like their life after that point, they kind of emotionless, a bit dead, and never seem to get in the spirit of those things.
Yep.
A Dianetics auditor can handle that kind of situation in a few hours, and it's just handled. And what that means by handled is that the pain that's connected with that incident of loss of a loved one will be gone. And
you pass on, and then you have no grievance, or is that what you're saying?
Well, that's the thing is that the pain itself has no value. You're not going to lose the memory of the person. You're going to keep everything that's good about the person. You see?
Yeah.
So those are all the things that you want. You don't really want the pain, but at the same time,
people who grieve over, for instance, relationship breakups, and it just goes on for a long time.
That's right.
So it's sort of cutting off the emotional,
your emotional lifeblood, really.
Yeah.
And you see, a person doesn't need the pain. They need to be aware of the incident, and they need to be, they need to learn the lesson of life. And you don't lose that by using Dianetics on that technique. With this technique, you don't lose that. You gain it fully analytically, so that you can, in the future, you'll be more aware of it, but you won't react like a knee-jerk kind of reaction, like, if the lady looks similar to your past wife, you're going to go after this lady just because you think it might sort of bring back to life your past wife who died. That would be totally irrational, but people do it. People get married to other people that actually just because they're almost like a replacement. And they're not really aware of it because it's just below the unconscious.
Now, look, I've got someone who texts me in, Dan, who usually comes in. He's saying, if anyone can do it, why do we have to pay?
Oh, well, this is the thing is that, you go down to the library and you just do it yourself. You can grab the book Dianetics, and you don't even have to pay for a book, which would be about $20.
Right. Yeah.
You could just go to the library, and some people don't want to do that. Some people want to get a professional person to do it.
Right.
Now, let's say if your job was a Dianetics counselor and you wanted to make that your whole life, well, you do got to earn a living.
Yeah.
Now the whole last hour was about barter system, and well, it sort of implied this kind of thing, and that's fine too. I mean, I'm sure Dianetics auditors don't have to use money if the whole monetary system changed. They could use some other barter system, but if for the counselors themselves, if they're going to go full time because they know how much value that will give people, then they also have to they have to live. So however they're going to do it, then that's up to them.
Yeah. Scientology, how many people, this is coming off the air, how many people are with Scientology all around the world?
Oh, all around the world. Well, there's millions all around the world, but we don't keep strict lists like the Mormons do. The Mormons is part of their religion, and they're very good at genealogy and all that. That has to do with basically they want to bring people into the church. Their all their past generations and everything. They do ceremonies like that. So that's what that has to do with. But we don't keep such tight records. So we have like a mailing list. Like in Australia, we have 250,000 on a mailing list, and I don't know how many of those would be active Scientologists. Certainly, you get tens of thousands in Sydney, and then when you go to actually church, when you go to any church, you look at it and you go, well, there's supposed to be 10 million Christians. Where are they? Kind of thing. And the amount of people that attend church is actually regularly is quite low. But the amount of people that actually follow that belief is of Christianity or any other religion is much higher. But just to bring it all back to the beginning, I mean, Scientology really started because Dianetics was about the mind, and then people using Dianetics techniques started to do interesting things, like they started to have incidents occur when they're auditing, they're doing this counseling, that was a past life incident. And that was a bit scary for everybody. And the board of directors, L. Ron Hubbard wasn't a board member, said you can't do that. That's not politically correct. And L. Ron Hubbard disbanded the board, and they said, you can't tell me what to research. And he kept researching whether it was past life or not, whether it was politically correct or not.
So you believe in past life?
Well, this is the thing. It's not really like a belief in that sense, because with Dianetics, it was like an experience. It was like, okay, well, a person has trouble with asthma this lifetime. Then, he goes back and he has an incident, and say he, almost drowned when he was 5, all right? And then in Dianetics, if an incident, you go through it and it doesn't resolve, what the technique is that there's usually an incident below it, like earlier, that it rests on, which is why it didn't resolve, right? So then, say a person goes past life and to a point when he actually did die, he drowned and he died, and then the person goes through the incident and then the asthma clears up. I mean, this has happened. And that is the scary thing, if you will. It's a bit like, we can't really account for it. So during the research years of Dianetics and Scientology, it was he just followed the research trail, and the main thing was, okay, well, when you encounter an incident and the person's, it appears to be past life, just run it as a regular incident, ignoring the fact of its political correctness or not, etc. And the key litmus test, the acid test, is, does the person get well? Does the condition resolve? And it did. And these kind of things do come up, and they're not all past life incidents. Some cases a person can be imagining it. It's possible, but there are ways to know whether they're imagining it. And one of the ways is that a person will say the incident different ways every single time. It won't be the same.
Right.
You say.